Today we're going to be repairing your connection to your solo pad. First off, I want to say that this is a voluntary repair, so if at any time you feel like you may have done this incorrectly or this might not be safe to use, please don't use it. You can just mail it back to us and then pay the return shipping, and we'll be happy to do the repair here, but this is just another convenient option for you. So the first thing is, you'll notice this is a complete repair. This is to the solo pad, this is to the solo controller. So in one or more likely events, you've pulled one of them apart. So we're going to cut the solo pad line today and have some exposed wires. So the first thing is, we're going to replace it, the standard connection, since you've had some trouble with this. We're going to replace it with these simple barrel connectors. And then we're going to sleeve the whole thing with this piece of heat shrink. For the job today, you're going to need a pair of scissors, some sort of electrical crimper, or a light pair of pliers, something that can crush these down a little bit, and then a hair dryer or heat gun to shrink the heat tube. So we're going to remove that heat shrink sleeve, and then what we're going to do is we're going to separate these two wires. On down the tubing sleeve there. Alright, we're going to expose them. You can trim off the extra insulation. There we go. Now you got two wires. The next one is, you're going to cut this white plastic connector off as well. Again, pulling off this little bit of heat shrink tubing that's already on there and disposing of it. So now we've got your barrel connectors and your bare wire and your secondary bare wire. Now, to make this piece of heat shrink tubing fit and be nice and slim, we're not going to want to put the barrel connectors right near each other. We're going to want to stagger them like this. So the next thing that you're going to do is decide whichever wire you want to pick. You're going to pick one and cut it back a little bit. So we'll first trim one wire. What you'll do is you'll take your scissors and you'll just use it to slightly just score around the outside of that plastic tubing. Until it comes loose. You might need to get your fingernail underneath it. Alright, hold on. There we go. And you just want about a little bit over a 1/4 inch of wire sticking out. So then what you'll do is you'll take that and you'll slide that into the end of the barrel connector. You'll want to twist this first and make sure there's no outlying wires. And there you go. Once that's down, you'll take this crimper or pliers, and what you'll do is those small plastic, there's a taper at the end, and the taper is plastic, so you want to get on that smooth barrel and just go ahead and apply some firm, even pressure just to get that barrel to collapse on there. And then you'll want to move down just a little bit right next to it and squeeze again. Oh, didn't take. Here we go. So just again, redo it and just squeeze a little bit harder. There we go. That's nice and tight now. And the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that this connector is back behind the other connector. Alright? So what we're going to do is now we're going to trim this wire. Again, remember, we're stripping the wire back, so you're going to go ahead and take about a 1/4 inch up by sizing them up like this. And then you're going to look at the end and move up about a 1/4 inch. And then you're going to cut the wire. And then you're going to score this wire. Now if you leave too much extra wire, what you're going to notice is you're going to have exposed wiring, which is not good. That's a possibility for arcing, and that can be a little bit dangerous. So you twist that wire, again, slide that into the connector. Oh, sorry, I pulled this one up a little bit. There you go. And if you notice, they're nice, slim, and in line. So then you're going to take the wire crimpers again, and you're just going to crush that down right on top of that wire with even pressure. And again, move down a little bit, crush it a little again, and crush the end. Again, make sure you have firm contact. Now, we're going to do the same thing to the other side. You're going to separate these wires just a little bit. And you're just going to cut right down the middle. Get those started. And then we're going to reverse this process. On this one, there we go. There we go on the length. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this white wire just a little bit short. And we're going to strip the sheathing off this black wire. Or you can leave it if it's a little bit tough, but what you're going to want to do is just taper the ends just a little bit. There we go. Alright, and then we're going to do the same for this one. Now be careful, because if you cut too deep, what you're going to do is kind of cut through the wire itself, which is what you don't want to do. You just want to go through just a little bit of that sheathing. You might need to use a little pair of pliers to get that done. Alright. Then, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take your section of heat shrink that we've sent out to you. And you're going to take it and you're going to slide it over this wire. The reason we're going to do that before is so that when it's done, we can get it back over the end, and it's going to look great. So we're going to take this wire there, and this wire here. It looks like we will need to remove this outer sheathing. You're going to notice that there's two wires wrapped up there, so again, making a small incision there. There we go. Now let's put down in there. So again, we're going to close this one up. We're going to use the pliers to crimp it again. And then crimp those on. Oh, again, see that one wasn't quite on there all the way. Feed it back in. Something didn't look like it took, so go ahead and use your second barrel connector. Slide it on. Crimp it. Check it. just by tugging pretty firmly. You're going to slide the other connector in. And again, you're going to crimp it. And by working your way back and forth, you're going to get it a lot tighter this way. Checking the connections. Everything seems good. Now lastly, I'm going to go ahead and take these barrel connectors, make sure they're in line like that. And then we're going to slide the wire. This heat shrink tubing right over the wire. Now it should be snug. That's going to give you a nice clean look when we're done. So again, just on there, slide that down. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your hairdryer, and if you notice it's got a little extra, heat at one end and apply the heat directly. And you can just rotate it a little bit, make sure that it gets heated everywhere. And you'll see it just start to shrink up. And real nice and tight over the cord. And there we go. We've got a completed cord section. Now, in your case, this cord would already be attached to the pat, but we're done. With a solid connection, everything's good. And again, if at any time you feel this is unsafe, just mail it back to us. We'll be happy to do the repair here, and then you just pay return shipping.